Yesterday morning, my son Daniel called me, his voice breaking with sheer panic. Mom, why are all the cards getting declined? Sophia's mother and I can't even pay for lunch at this restaurant. People are staring and whispering. His desperation hit me with a satisfaction I never imagined I could feel toward my own child. You've ever felt that deep sting of betrayal from those you love most? You know how raw it leaves you. Subscribe to the channel if you want to hear more stories like mine, and let's walk through this together. I'm 67 now, and for the past 12 years since losing my husband, I've essentially become the endless money source for my son and his wife. Every little desire, every impulse buy, every extravagant outing, it all drained from my hard-earned nest egg. But yesterday, as I stood in my kitchen pouring tea for everyone, Sophia turned to her visiting relatives and dropped the words that shattered everything. That old lady's only useful for footing our expenses. My son, Daniel, rather than standing up for me, burst into laughter like it was the most hilarious thing he'd ever heard. I froze there, teapot in my grip, watching them mock me in my own home. My fingers shook, but it wasn't from grief. It was a seething fury I'd buried for far too long. In that instant, the truth I'd ignored for years crashed over me like a wave. To them, I wasn't mom anymore. I wasn't even a real person with feelings and a history. I was just a walking wallet. For over a decade, I'd been their financial lifeline. When Daniel got laid off from his sales job, I covered their mortgage for 9 straight months, $1,200 each time, straight from my pension, while he barely bothered updating his resume. When Sophia insisted on a full home makeover to impress her social circle, that was $4,500 charged to my account. And don't get me started on their trips to Hawaii because they needed to unwind from all the pressure. Another $6,000 vanished from my savings. I was never part of those getaways, of course. I was fine for funding them, but not for joining in. "It's our anniversary escape, Mom," Daniel would say with that casual shrug whenever I suggested tagging along. "You get it, don't you?" And I, fool that I was, always did. I always shelled out. I always bit my tongue as they flaunted the luxuries I bankrolled. The breaking point crept up 6 months ago when Sophia declared she required a luxury SUV upgrade. "Our current one's so outdated, Margaret," she cooed in that manipulative tone she reserved for big asks. "And with kids on the horizon, safety comes first. $18,000 for the deposit. $18,000 that equaled 3 years of my careful scrimping. But I handed it over, as usual, telling myself it was for the family's future. Yet yesterday, after those venomous words sliced through the air, after seeing my own flesh and blood chuckle at my expense, a switch flipped in my soul. Sleep evaded me that night, not from sorrow, but from a blazing insight that scorched away the illusions. I rose at 2:30 a.m., fired up my laptop, and started reclaiming what was mine, choices I should have made ages ago. I began by revoking all the supplementary cards they'd been using like their personal unlimited funds, 6 in total, scattered across various accounts. Next, I shut down the shared checking account I'd foolishly set up for their so-called crises, which were really just excuses for high-end shopping sprees and gourmet deliveries. I updated every password on my online banking and stripped their access from all recurring payments. By 5:45 a.m., as dawn crept in, I brewed a fresh pot of tea and settled into my worn armchair by the window. For the first time in what felt like forever, a profound calm washed over me. I knew the calls would come soon, frantic, accusing, begging, and I'd be prepared to face them head-on. The phone buzzed at precisely 8:50 a.m. I was midway through my morning routine, savoring the quiet, when Daniel's name lit up the screen. I let it ring 4 times, relishing the shift in power after years of being at their beck and call. When I picked up, his tone was frantic, verging on hysteria. Mom, what's going on with the cards? They're all declining. I'm at the upscale bistro downtown with Sophia's mom. We're supposed to be treating her for her promotion, but nothing's working. The bill's $180 and we've got no cash. Everyone's eyeing us like we're frauds. The irony tasted sweet. They'd picked the ritziest spot in the city to show off, a place I'd funded their visits to countless times, but never stepped foot in myself. Now, amid the crystal glasses and linen tablecloths, they couldn't cover a simple meal. "Good morning, Daniel," I said evenly, my voice steadier than I'd expected. "I've chosen to stop subsidizing your extravagance." "What? Have you lost it? We're in the middle of lunch here. Sophia's mom is embarrassed. How do I explain that my own mother cut us off? This is insane." "Insane was overhearing you snicker yesterday as your wife dismissed me as nothing but a bill payer. Insane was waking up to the fact that for 12 years, I've been your cash machine, not your mom." Silence stretched on the line. In the background, I caught murmurs, likely Sophia and her mother piecing together the disaster. The server was probably hovering, check in hand, while nearby tables exchanged glances. "Mom, not now, please. We'll sort this later, but fix the cards for today, I swear." "No," I cut in firmly. "No more vows, Daniel. No more temporary fixes. 12 years of the same empty words. 12 years of being your fallback. But yesterday taught me you don't respect me, you don't cherish me, and you sure as hell don't love me like I loved you." "That's not fair. We do love you. Sophia was kidding around. You know her sense of humor." "I know her all too well, Daniel, and you too. That's why this ends now." His breathing quickened, the restaurant's tension palpable even over the phone. Sophia's mom must have sensed the unraveling, the elite crowd noticing the stalled payment. "Mom, come on, we're stuck here. What do you expect? To beg for scraps? Alert the authorities? This is degrading." "Now you understand a fraction of my years of silent suffering," I replied coolly. "But you're 36, an adult who should handle his own messes." "Are you ill? This isn't you. You've never been so heartless." Heartless. The accusation stung like acid. Me, heartless, after decades of self-denial, retiring at 66 to stretch my savings for their sake, spending holidays solo while they jetted off on my dime? Heartless was your mockery yesterday, I shot back with icy precision. Heartless was ignoring me except when wallets ran dry. Heartless was reducing my worth to dollars and cents. "Mom, Sophia didn't intend it that way." "She did, and you endorsed it. You've both made my role crystal clear." Louder voices echoed, Sophia demanding updates, her mother grumbling irritably. The waiter had likely circled back, feigning patience amid the awkward standoff. "Okay, Mom, I see you're hurt, but this isn't fixing it. Let's discuss rationally later, but help us now." "One last time, then we'll adjust." "One last time?" I let out a hollow laugh. "Heard that how many times? Countless final favors over 12 years? But Mom—" "No, Daniel, not anymore. Solve it yourselves. You earn salaries, lean on friends, figure it out." How do we tell Sophia's mom that my mother ditched us mid-meal? How do I face our circle? Gossip will spread like wildfire. And there, the core truth surfaced. Not remorse for wounding me, not introspection on their greed, just dread of tarnished egos, shattered facades in their pretentious world. That's your puzzle, son. I've safeguarded your image, your ease, your joy for ages. Now I prioritize mine. "You can't pull this. You're my mom." Precisely. Your mom, not your financier. Your mom, not your bailout fund. As your mom, I failed by not teaching self-reliance sooner. Another heavy pause. He was likely scrambling mentally, calling backups, dodging total embarrassment. "Mom, please, Sophia's tearing up. Her mom's questioning our family's sanity. The waiters hounded us twice. Show some compassion." Compassion. The word ignited fresh tremors. Where was theirs when I scrimped on groceries to fund their splurges? When I skipped doctor visits to cover their debts? Compassion is built over time, Daniel, and you squandered yours yesterday. I ended the call. My hands quivered faintly, but from exhilaration, not regret. For once, I'd chosen myself. For once, I'd drawn the line. The next 45 minutes brought relentless rings. Daniel, then Sophia, then unfamiliar digits I pegged as her mother's. Each declined call fortified my resolve. I steeped another tea and stepped onto my porch, basking in the rare tranquility. Peace shattered soon after. Around 10:30 a.m., tires crunched on my gravel drive, that SUV I'd partly financed. Doors banged, footsteps pounded toward my entrance. Knocking erupted, urgent and unyielding. "Mom, open up, we gotta talk." Daniel's voice carried desperation laced with anger. I stayed put on my porch, hidden from view, observing squirrels dart across the lawn. It struck me how life's simple joys had faded amid their endless demands. "Margaret," Sophia's shrill tone pierced the air, "we see your car, quit hiding and deal with this." Deal with this, as if I were the culprit after years of their exploitation. The absurdity nearly drew a chuckle. The pounding escalated, now with boots thumping my sturdy maple door, installed by my late husband with such care. "This is absurd," Sophia yelled. "You turned us into laughingstocks." Ah, so Sophia's mom had bailed them out. I envisioned the scene, Daniel fumbling excuses, Sophia feigning innocence, the elder woman reluctantly settling the tab. The mortification must have burned. "Mom, please," Daniel verged on sobs. "The whole place gawked, some snapped photos. This'll hit online forums." Online forums, of course, their prime fear wasn't mending our bond or owning their cruelty, just preserving their curated online persona, the envy-inducing posts of lavish lives I'd underwritten. The pause paused, hushed arguments filtered through. They were plotting next moves. Sophia excelled at guile, and Daniel had mastered it under her tutelage. "Margaret," Sophia's voice softened abruptly, syrupy sweet. "I get you're pained, and rightfully so. My words slipped out wrong. I was venting to kin. You know how chats flow sometimes." Her chameleon shift amazed me, from raging door-kicker to contrite in-law admitting a mere slip. "Mom," Daniel matched her gentleness, "we hurt you," Sophia filled me in, "and you're justified in anger, but blocking cards, it escalates for all." For all, except me, naturally. My piece didn't count. "Please, Mom, restore access today. Bills loom. The home insurance renews tomorrow. Sophia's therapy sessions this week. We can't go broke overnight." Broke, as if it were communal funds, as if I bore duty for their policies, appointments, adult burdens. That moment clarified. They blurred my assets with theirs entirely. "Margaret, please reconsider," Sophia pleaded. "Imagine the gossip if word spreads you abandoned your son. What about your book club, your neighbors?" Book club, neighbors, leveraging my social standing as always, as if my self-worth hinged on outsiders' views, eclipsing my dignity. "Look, Mom," Daniel shifted to stern maturity. "I see we need boundaries, better money talks, but this, it's coercion." Coercion, the irony echoed. Me coercive after their guilt-tripping marathons, weaponizing my maternal instincts to drain my reserves? The hypocrisy bordered on comical. Knocks resumed, slower, less fierce. They circled the house, peering for signs of me. "Margaret," Sophia called from a side window, "your curtain twitched, we know you're inside, don't cower." Cower. The authentic Sophia resurfaced when sweetness flopped. The one who'd labeled me an old bill payer, twisted my kindness into jest, reshaped my son into her echo. I rose, approached the window, parted the fabric just enough. Our gazes locked through glass. Her fury melted to feigned warmth, that practiced grin emerging. "There you are," she beamed, like locating a stray pet. "Come on, let's chat as family. Unlock the door." I held her stare, serenity anchoring me. Then, deliberately, I drew the curtain shut. Her frustrated cry rang out, followed by fresh thumps, but I returned to my porch unmoved. The phone buzzed nonstop. I muted it. My home felt truly mine again. The clamor dragged on another 50 minutes, waning gradually. Snippets of their scheming drifted. Sophia floated, forcing entry, but Daniel cited legality. Even desperate, they shied from true crime. Finally, doors slammed, engine revved, they departed, but I knew the storm brewed anew. By 2 p.m., unknown calls flooded in. First, Sophia's mom, Lydia, courteous yet insistent. "Margaret, dear, this seems a mix-up. Sophia explained, and we can smooth it civilly." I disconnected wordlessly. Next, my brother Edward, from across the country, fed a skewed tale. "Margaret, Daniel rang me alarmed. He claims you're erratic, stranding them at lunch. You all right? Health okay?" "I'm fine, Edward. Better than ever, actually. But closing accounts? Canceling cards? Not like you. You've always supported kin." "Maybe that's the issue," I said. "Too supportive too long." "But they're family, Margaret. Sophia says it's over a harmless quip." Harmless quip. The narrative twisted masterfully, from public shaming to my oversensitivity. "Edward, ever felt like a piggy bank to your kids?" "What? No, why?" "That's me to Daniel and Sophia. Yesterday sealed it." "You exaggerate. Parents aid offspring, standard." "Standard to bankroll adult rent endlessly, fund solo trips, endure ridicule for generosity?" Edward paused. "Perhaps they've overstepped, but total cutoff's harsh." After I unplugged the phone, silenced my mobile, I craved quiet to digest, strategize. As I prepped a simple supper, first in ages without fretting calls for cash, I noted absence of guilt. That reflexive shame for denying others vanished. Instead, sharp focus emerged, like lifting a veil. My choices replayed, the pattern unmissable. They'd pitch a brief crisis. I'd hesitate. They'd guilt me. "One off, Mom. We're sunk otherwise. Image matters." I'd cave. Crisis averted. Cycle reset weeks later. No repayment schemes, no true thanks for my forfeits, no sharing the fruits. I funded escapes but stayed grounded, funded feasts but dined solo, paid health bills but ignored my checkups. I headed to my den, pulling financial files. Time for hard math on 12 years' toll. Last 6 years' statements yielded $112,000. $112,000 gone. Over half my retirement, more than some annual salaries. But numbers paled beside the exchange. Derision, neglect, obligation over appreciation. Sifting deeper fueled rage. My card charged for luxury spa subs, high-end wine clubs, premium apps, $300 plus monthly, auto-deducted for perks I never touched. That evening, I unearthed my will, drafted 7 years back in naive faith. Daniel, sole heir, home, accounts, all. Now, why gift everything to one who'd frittered half pre-mortem? Why honor exploitation? Tomorrow, I'd lawyer up for revisions. If he viewed me as a vault, he'd get crumbs, not the hoard. Bed brought odd freedom. Decisions centered me, not them. No late-night frets over their woes. Sleep came deep. Dawn brought vigor absent for years. It was Thursday. My agenda, lawyer, bank, perhaps self-indulgence with funds once earmarked for their whims. I reconnected the line over breakfast. 19 voicemails awaited. I played them sipping tea, each validating my stand. Voicemail 1, Sophia, weepy. "Margaret, it's Sophia. You're upset, but consider the fallout. Daniel's racked, sleepless. Call us, please." 2, Daniel, frantic. "Mom, bank says you axed our safety net account. Why? It was ours." Fascinating, their entitlement shown. That net was my deposits for faux urgencies, designer bags, concert tics, not real needs. 3, Edward again. "Margaret, Daniel updated me. You shut a savings too. Radical much?" Pattern held. Feigned worry, sanity doubts, veiled pleas. Message 13 stood out, from a stranger, but voice rang bells. Mrs. Margaret, this is Paul, Sophia's cousin. We haven't met much, but Sophia asked I reach you. She's concerned. You're off. As a guy, I say ladies overcomplicate. Forgive, move on. Family first. Family first, handy when it sustains their gain. Would Paul preach that if mocked while bankrupted? 9 a.m. sharp, I dialed the law firm. Secretary slotted me for 1:30 p.m. with Miss Harper, ideal. Then bank manager for account lockdown, ensuring Daniel's info blackout. Prepping to leave, doorbell chimed. Not them, my neighbor Paula, 64, widowed 3 years, occasional fence chat buddy. Margaret, hope no intrusion, but yesterday's ruckus worried me. Shouts, bangs, you good? I welcomed her, poured tea. Refreshing, company sans agendas. All okay? She probed gently. Saw your son, wife, hours of commotion, nearly phoned cops. I spilled the saga, not depths, but essence. Paula nodded empathetically. Margaret, confession, I've noticed their visits. Flashy cars, trendy gear, gadgets. You, same old reliable sedan, thrift shopping. Her observation pierced, external mirror to my denial. Obvious? To outsiders, yes, but moms blind themselves for kids. Paula lingered hour more, sharing her boundary tales post-widowhood. Key insight, she parted? Good motherhood skips martyrdom, love without dignity loss. Words echoed en route to bank. Manager reviewed, fortified security, new pins, biometrics, sole access. Ms. Margaret, why the overhaul? Concerns? Biggest threat? My kin, I quipped. He nodded, commoner than thought, elders exploited by relatives. Wise move. Post-bank, solo lunch at quaint cafe I'd eyed forever but deemed extravagant. Priciest entree, wine, dessert, $52 total, fraction of their bar tabs, yet savored sans guilt. Ms. Harper's meet enlightened, explained will revamp, she no surprise, cases abound. Miss Margaret, 7 years back, all to Daniel, major shifts? Absolutely, seen his colors, squandered generosity, spent inheritance prematurely. Detailed $112,000, her brows lifted. Changes? 40% charity for true need, 40% brother, Edward, independent, 20% Daniel conditioned on 1-year self-sufficiency proof. Intriguing. Legal, promotes accountability. Exiting, satisfaction bloomed. Values aligned planning, finally. Homeward, unfamiliar sedan waited. Elderly woman on porch, Sophia's mom, Lydia. Margaret, glad you're back. Woman-to-woman chat needed. Invited in, curiously, for her spin. Dear, misunderstanding with kids. Sophia shared, you're overreacting. Overreacting? Yes. Quip misheard, now extreme measures like card cuts. Quip? The tale morphed. My fault for lacking humor. Lydia, you provide endless cards? No, but... Adult rent? No, different. Fund trips alone? She squirmed. Families vary. Precisely, mine evolves now. But kids build futures, need aid. They're mid-30s. I built mine sans parental crutch by then. Times changed. More chances now, no excuse. Lydia pivoted. Sophia's devastated, cried nonstop. Sees you as mom, confused by rejection. Mom good only for bills? Her words. Joke. In-law gripes normal. Private gripes fine. Public humiliation? Not. Half hour dragged. Guilt. Son's pain. Fear. Isolation. Shame. Gossip. Threats. Sophia knows elder services. Threat unveiled. If erratic finances, incompetence claims possible. Lydia, consult lawyers first. Mine says protecting from abuse shows competence. Her bluff called, she backpedaled. Didn't mean... Yes, you did. Conversation over. Escorted out. Post-departure pondered. Escalation to legal grabs if voluntary failed. That night phoned Miss Harper re-threat. She calmed. Incompetence needs med-proof, process lengthy. Document all, record, log threats, psych eval for competence proof. Slept fitfully, not fear, fury. Audacity to strip autonomy for cash. Friday, per advice, clinic eval. Doc, mid-50s pro, heard tale. Miss Margaret, post-tests. Lucid exceptionally. Abuse recognition, boundaries, protection. Competent signs. Rationale now then enabling. Report sealed, my shield. Home, Paula gardened. Over fence, Margaret, woman queried you yesterday, odd behavior? Told her you're thriving. Shared Lydia's ploy, Paula outraged. Absurd, declaring incompetence for self-protection. You need escape, enjoy liberty. Last fun outing? Right, she was. 5-day retreat starts Tuesday, join? Sister bailed. Thrilled, when last vacationed? Booked, $450 each, inclusive. My treat, post their lavish funding. Saturday morn, packing, doorbell. Daniel solo, haggard, bags, rumpled, defeated. Mom, talk? No Sophia, no scene. You, me. Let in warily, manipulation radar high. Mom, desperate, he opened. Utility bill tomorrow, $180. No funds, shut off looms. Can't function sans power. How much earned last? $2,800. But expenses, rent, groceries. What? Silence. Restaurants last month? Don't know, maybe $400? Deliveries, subs? Necessities, Mom. Necessities? Luxuries as basics, basics as my duty. Daniel, 36, educated, employed. Why can't cover $180? Funds evaporate. Cut non-essentials. Not simple, we maintain standards. Standards unaffordable. You've always bridged. Truth, me as a fixture, not Mom. Budgeted on salary alone ever? Silence. Cheaper housing? Silence. Expense cuts to spare me? Unfair queries. Unfair expecting 36-year-old independence? Pressures, Sophia expects. Friends' lifestyles. Can't appear struggling. My pressures? Expectations? Silence. Never considered, Mom. Assumed you enjoyed aiding, love expression. Was, but twisted to duty, generosity to expectation, sacrifice to joke. He wept quietly. Fix how? Start self-paying bill. Daniel lingered 90 minutes, reflective silence dominant. Parted, Mom, I'll handle utility, we'll budget talk. Doubted, but maturity glint. Sunday, unexpected call, Sophia subdued. Margaret, tension high. Coffee? Us only, no drama. Met neutral cafe. Sophia plain-dressed, humbled, weary. Margaret, sincere apology, cruel words, disrespectful. Change why? Restaurant shame, but more. Faced finances sans you, terrifying realization. What? We can't budget? Spend double earnings, you covered gap. Now? Changes. $1,100 rent too high, aim $700. Daniel agreed post numbers, cancel luxuries, rethink socials. When resentment started? Gradually, when help became assumed, not asked. Cards normalized, savings raided. Nodded, ashamed. Saw you as a resource, not person. Rebuild? Old dynamic dead, based on imbalance. New, respect, your independence, value beyond money. No more aid? Genuine emergencies post-proven maturity, maybe. Help, not subsidy. Proof time? Lifestyle shift, not timed test. If fail? Adult consequences, learn independently. Coffees done thoughtfully. Parting, learned adulthood's responsibility, not age. Most adult from her. Evening, packing wrapped, peace settled. Lost enabler role, gained self-respect, genuine bond potential. Monday text, Daniel. Mom, borrowed for utility, found cheaper place, move soon, FYI. Step forward. Night rested, Tuesday adventure loomed. Retreat transformed, 5 days choice-driven, sleep, eat, activities for joy. Paula ideal companion, light, drama-free. Met peers, Gloria shared kids' draining savings till cutoff. Harriet found son misusing card for stocks. Harriet, deck, sunset. Shocked not alone. Generation enabling adult kids, sans no. Home Friday. Revitalized. Days, sans, money please, anxiety, rediscovered self, pre-bankroll. Messages. Daniel checked safe return twice. Sophia, hope retreat great. Share sometime? Saturday morn, Paula visited with treats for tails. Midway, Daniel arrived. Hesitant. Sat car minutes. Doorbell. Mom, post-trip, but talk? Paula exited gracefully. Mom, updates. Moved, smaller unit, $500 less rent. Feelings? Tough initially, cramped, area modest, but realized, sleep better knowing self-funded, no bill dread. First hearing his financial stress, canceled fancy clubs, switched cheap, Sophia's weekend gig idea. Sophia working extra? Her initiative, wants active role, not passive. Apology too, not just recent, all years, never saw ATM treatment. Realization? Budgeting, clueless on costs, lived inflated, you bridging. Feels? Scary, freeing, unburdened. Deep, thought solo sufferer, he bore guilt too. Mom, no right asking, but normal bond possible? Visits from love, not need. Can start now, always wanted caring son. Sunday lunch? We bring, cook, quality time. Delighted. Post-departure reflected. 2 weeks transformed, lost toxic, gained respect, real relation hope. Evening called Miss Harper re-will tweak. Post-Daniel behavior-based tears. Tiered structure rewards sustained growth. Smart encourages maturity. Hung up hopeful, not fearful. Hope son evolved, bond mended, years dignified. Porch stargazing, garden wind chimes tinkled. Installed last spring, self-gift post-doubts. Deserved always, learned late but firm. And in that quiet night, with the stars as my witnesses, I knew I'd reclaimed my life, one boundary at a time. If you faced something similar, share in the comments below. What was your turning point? And if stories like this resonate, subscribe to the channel and join me for more. We're in this together.